We're live. Hello, friends. I am doing office hours today. Just waiting for a second to grab the YouTube link when eventually Zoom decides that it's ready to give it to me. Sweet. There it is. And I'm going to go over to the office hours channel in Discord, post that there. And yeah, also the Zoom link, office hours. There we go. So let me share my screen. And we'll go to office hours. Dun, 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 dun. Sweet. So office hours, welcome to office hours. If you've never been here before, it's a good time where I answer your questions, whatever you want to ask. And I do not promise to answer every question that you ask, but yeah, just I will do my best to answer honest, good questions. I always give priority to people who are in the Zoom meeting, but if you can't make it to the Zoom meeting, then you can ask on Discord. So I think where we left off is probably, yeah, somewhere around here. Yeah, right here, I think. So I will just go off of those. And normally people, oh, they've started. Hey, how are you doing, Renee? Yeah, people start coming in here. And yeah, feel free to interrupt me if you're in the Zoom. So starting with this one from Bjorn. Very much appreciate your great work. Oh, here, let me just let them know. Answering this now. It's fun to use. Yes. Server and client sharing of data traffic was terrific. I agree. Oh, come on. You just thought I had done this already. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't show anything. I'm gonna move it over. Yeah, didn't think it would, but you never know. I have been known to share things on live stream that I did not want to share. Okay. Okay, bringing back the Discord while that loads up. Man, did they change Code Sandbox like a ton? Gee whiz. It's very different from what I'm used to. Okay, running into a storage problem with local storage. The values I retrieve aren't shown in the re-render. Please, yada, yada, thanks. Okay, so first off, local storage is always a problem when we're talking about a server-rendered app. You need to make sure that local storage is not used for anything that needs to be accessed as part of the initial render of the app. So I typically like to avoid local storage because it just leads to a poor user experience often. But yeah, there are definitely some cases where in-browser storage as the only storage mechanism makes sense. But in general, try to avoid it in favor of using cookies and stuff. So anyway, with that said, I want to make a button group, highlight the active person persisted in local storage, active value as person, use local storage hook, stores key value pair in local storage. This way, I'd like to persist some settings, show hide menu pane even after page refresh. Although value seems to be there, it doesn't reflect in the button color of the active upon the first render. Is this due to server-side render? Yes, although the use effect should run on the client, or should I use an element other than a button to create this button group? Yeah, so like the fundamental problem is on the server render, you don't have access to local storage. You have no idea what the value is going to be. So if you can, you want to use cookies. That's the better solution. And if there's a lot of data, then you the good solution for that for a positive user experience is a table, and then all that's in the cookie is an identifier for that user's preferences in the table in the database. Now, there are varying levels of how much you care about the user experience versus the complexity of like, well, now I need a database, good grief. So I can appreciate that. But normally, like you don't need, like in those type of situations, you don't need a lot of data. And so sticking it just in a cookie should be fine. So anyway, let's just take a look at this and make sure I'm not misunderstanding something. So we've got the use local storage. We have this value of type. So yeah, there's no way you're going to know what the type is. Here we've got our used local storage and get saved value. And so the initial render, the server render, this is going to be null always. And so on the server render, type is going to be null. So we're saying background color type is person, then that. If it's task, then it's that. So for both of these, it's going to be just an empty string because type is null. This is the current value. Type is person because it hydrated on the client. But if we were to have a slow loading experience or something, this would just be empty until finally the JavaScript was able to load and execute. So that's not a good user experience. You get a flash of the uninitialized state. So that's not great. If you put this in a cookie, then you could get this type from your loader. The loader would read the cookie and send it to the UI, and that could be server rendered as well as like client transitions and stuff. So yeah, then going forward, this works. So the interesting thing is, though, that on that initial render, we're seeing that the value is task, but that is not highlighted. That is unexpected to me. And so let's see. Yeah, so we have this use effect here. We have this. Yeah, that is interesting. So we have type person. What is that? Okay, key is type. Initial value is person. Yeah, so on hydration, this should all run, and you'll get a hydration error probably actually, because this will run differently than it does on the server. Yeah, I'm not sure why you're not getting the styles applied, because you do ultimately get the right thing shown here. If I open up, how do I open up the browser DevTools? Open logs. Nope, that is value of type task. Yeah, that is strange that you're not getting the background color styling correctly. I wonder, this is still not the solution, but I just wonder what happens if we do it this way instead. What is this complaining about? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's super weird. I'm not sure why you're not getting the styling, but the fact is, it's a bad user experience anyway. And so I'm not going to spend any more time looking into it. So sorry, but yeah, that is strange. Something interesting to dive into to figure out why that is not applying the style properly, even though we definitely have the type on the hydration. In any case, yeah, I would recommend against doing this and use cookies instead. I hope that works for you. Okay, sweet. Good luck. So Adriatic, answering this now. Got question, looking for advice how to debug React apps. Yeah, it seems debuggers. Yeah, it looks like Rupert kind of helped with answering some stuff because Rupert's amazing. Thank you, Rupert. Yeah, so this is challenging to debug, to be sure, because it's all declarative. So it's just gonna these are just function calls. And even with like nice source maps and stuff, this is not the code that gets, like, you're gonna see this code, but it's not what gets into what's the word I'm looking for? Not what actually gets run, what it looks like when it's run. Executed, that's the word I was looking for. And on top of that, even if you wanted to say, hey, I want to like debug what the link is doing, you can't dive into that because it's not called until it's rendered. So what this blog layout is doing is this just saying, here are the components that you could render if I get rendered. And it's not until this blog layout is actually rendered that we actually call this function. So you can't dive into or step into this JSX. That is just the way that it works. So it has nothing to do with like getting better dev tools or anything. Yeah. How could I really see the structure and content of that children object? Yeah, there's not really a way to do that. I mean, yeah, you can look at that, but it's going to stop at every component because we haven't actually rendered those things yet. So you're not going to be able to dive in. Hoping to see the blog data in the browser just as it rendered in the final output. Yeah, so that's yeah, it's React itself, engine maintains the instance. Yep, all of that stuff. Yeah, sorry, that's the best we can do. There's nothing better. It would probably be useful to you if you haven't already installed the React developer tools, then I would recommend pulling that up. Where's the website for this? Source. Okay, React developer tools. Yeah, just go to this one. You should be able to find it. 3 million plus users. That's wild. Here we go. Website. Oh, good grief. That's not going to do it. Let's go to packages. Dev tools, core extensions, just in case you're not using Chrome. So there's that, or that, or that. Okay, good luck. You definitely want to have those installed if you don't have those installed. That will help with debugging a lot. Okay, Robert, any more information on how TypeScript applies the node module resolution strategy? Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I would expect it's very similar to how everything else is resolved. It just also happens to include the types folder. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. No idea. Okay, and Peter, opinion on protected routes. Whoops. Would you prefer if frameworks reserve some routes like build, assets, yada, yada for static files, or should it remain free for all so that the application logic can produce dynamic content for these? Shot yourself in the leg. Oh, whoops. I can see arguments for both, but what do you think bigger pit of success is here? Yeah. Huh. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so what I do is I make sure that my static file server is in front of my Remix app. So if there's a static file, then it sends the static file. If there's not, then it continues. And I'm using Express for that. So I haven't run into this myself. So like if I tried to make a route that matched something in the build directory, it wouldn't work because I wouldn't ever be able to get there. Well, I suppose I technically could. Yeah. That's interesting. This might be worthwhile opening up as a as an issue on Remix and say, Well, so shoot, the runtime, yeah, the runtime knows where the public assets are. And so the runtime should be able to say, hey, you've got routes that are defined there. I don't know. I think it's worth a discussion for sure. I think this would be worth opening a GitHub discussion about. Interesting problem. Names, space clashes. We can never escape namespace clashes. Okay, yep. Good thoughts. Okay, that's everybody here. I'm happy to chill for just a little bit. Okay, Benjamin, hope the course building is going well. Thank you. I've been looking at Solid.js recently. I heard and read a lot of good things. Did you ever consider not using React in these newcomers? It seems from what I see that React's performance is not keeping up. So I did not. I mean, I thought about it for like 5 seconds. And 100% I'm still using React. React's performance is so good. It really is good. Here's a great example, reactrouter.com. This site is just lightning fast, so fast. Granted, it's maybe not like the most dynamic site, it's just a content site, but like lots of these others are focused on content type site experiences as well. Oh, kablooey. What happened there? That's weird. So, yeah, I don't, React is fast. I don't care how many more milliseconds faster you can hydrate or don't even have to hydrate other frameworks. React is pretty fast. So I'm not really concerned about that. The other frameworks may be faster, but in my experience, only in edge cases is that speed difference meaningful. So for what I'm building for Epic Web, React is amazing. And the fact is that Remix matters a lot more than the UI library, 100%. And so the fact that Remix only currently supports React is like, that's why I'm using React. If Remix only supported something else, then it would be whatever that other thing was. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Benjamin. Examu, I'm not sure how to say that. What part of Remix V2 roadmap are you most excited about? I actually haven't looked at it yet. So Remix roadmap, let's see if this will find it for me. I know that it was technically Remix Docs 5 Vercel. What is that? That's funny. What is this Remix Docs 5 Vercel thing? Huh. I doubt that this is supposed to be public. We got a lorem ipsum thing, or at least I doubt that it was supposed to be indexable. Okay, I know that there's a GitHub repo for this. Roadmap. I think it's probably just called roadmap. Roadmap. Nope. No. I thought that it was in here somewhere. Roadmap. Nope. If you've got a link to it, then let me know. I've got some things in mind that I believe that they're still working on, that they were working on when I was still there. But there we go. Project 5. Oh, cool. Roadmap. Nice. Okay, so things in progress. Remix on React Router v6.4. I'm really excited about some things. One thing in particular that's been bothering me for a long time is scroll restoration. So for this, the Call Kent podcast, when I click on this, it updates the route, so I can land on this page and everything linked directly to it. And when I switch these, I don't want it to scroll to the top like it typically does when you switch pages, because that wouldn't make any sense in this context. In like most other contexts, it does make sense. So I disable the scroll restoration. The problem with this is that it means if I go, what's a good example? This, what is a good example? Like after I record my response to somebody's question. Oh yeah, that doesn't take me down either. That's weird. After I record somebody's response, it sends me back here, and because it doesn't restore scroll, I end up being like at the bottom of the page or something weird. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Would love to avoid this problem. Yeah, the chats podcast also has a similar problem because of this. I don't want to scroll to the top, but then I click on that and now I'm scrolled down because I disable scrolling. So like that would be nice to have that improved scrollability, and that's one thing that this offers. And yeah, the other one is just well, there were a bunch that were mentioned in the blog post. Remix blog. Yes. Okay. Revalidating programmatically would be cool. I don't currently have any use cases, but I know of use cases. Like I don't have any myself. But yeah, I know that there are use cases for this, and that'll be cool. Really excited about defer and await. I still personally don't have use cases for this, but definitely there are a lot of use cases for that. So that'll be awesome. Grab specific routes loader data with use route loader data. There's a workaround for this. It'll be nice to not have to use that workaround. It's not even a workaround. It's just like, this is a convenient API. Stabilizing should reload as should revalidate. I think that's great. Always good to have stable stuff. And I actually probably do have use cases for that, but I'm not currently using the unstable version yet. This is the scroll stuff I was looking forward to. Yeah, making catch and error boundaries into a single thing. That'll be really nice. And fetch, yeah, bug fixes are always nice. So I'm definitely looking forward to that piece. Yeah, streaming defer, talked about that. That'll be amazing. Remix with Webpack, that'll be huge for some people. Yeah, for a lot of people using React router apps, have deep integration with Webpack, make it, yeah, will take a while to iterate out of. Yeah, having a repo that shows that. That'd be awesome. That's helpful. RFC meta export updates. I've looked at that. It looks great. Flat routes, huge fan. I'm using the package that's like the experimental version of that. I love it. So yeah, happy about flat routes. Navigation blocking. I bet I know what that is. Oh, and it looks like, yeah, there's nothing in there. Basically, like you're editing a big form and then you accidentally click on something that navigates you away and all of form state is gone. Having some capability say like, are you sure you want to leave? That's probably what that's about. That'll be nice. Events. I don't know what that's about. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sentry. Yep. That's always great. Middleware. That probably means the ability to have some stuff that runs before the loaders, before all of the loaders, so that you can, pretty much the main thing is to verify that users are logged in. That'll be really nice. A lot of people complain about that. Storybook plugin, a lot of people want one of those. That'll be awesome. Optional route segments. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I don't have a use case for that, but it seems like that'd be cool. Yeah, and then testing helpers. I was supposed to work on this, and I was, but then we decided we should finish React Router 6.4 first. So I stopped working on it, and then I left, and then they finished, and now they're working on it. So yeah, that'll be sweet. Depends on this. Yeah, remix on React Router. That's, yep, exactly. So that'll be really nice to have. So I'm excited about everything on the roadmap. Hooray. Thank you. Okay. Nile is asking, how do I do this? Write a method in which if a user signs up, oh, right. I do remember seeing this. I have no idea. This sorry. This kind of feels like a could you write my code for me question, and I'm not really able to help with this. I'd have to spend a lot more time digging into what you're trying to accomplish and everything. It's very implementation detail specific, so I'm afraid I am not able to answer a question like this on office hours. Sorry. Yeah, okay, we saw that. What animation library do you recommend? I use Framer Motion and I like it. I don't have super strong opinions about this, but that's what I use. And I did get your email, Nile. Let me just take a look. The idea is, I'm not going to show the email because emails are typically more private, so I'm not going to show that, but I'll just read it. The idea is of a social media which lets users connect in real world instead of connecting people in virtual world. So it's an app which you will get a small ID, and that will help to connect people in the real world. So every day you will get a random user ID of any user living in your city. Then you need to message that user in the app and start planning to connect in the real world so you can both connect together in the real world. You can take a photo and post it in the app, and then approval will be sent to the person whom you connect. So if that person allows the request, then you both posts will be public, and you will get a vote at your profile, which shows that you are interested in connecting with new people. I mean, sounds interesting. I probably wouldn't use it myself. Meeting random strangers is not, I mean, yeah, I've got a family that I hang out with, but yeah, could be interesting. It's kind of like, it sounds kind of like a Tinder where you don't get to see the person you're going to meet, and it's not necessarily for developing a romantic relationship. So sounds interesting. Yeah, I probably wouldn't personally use it, but good luck. Okay, sorry, David, I missed your question. Hosting platform do you recommend for a Remix app? I host most of my React and Next apps on Vercel. Naturally, because Next.js is best hosted on Vercel, and there's a reason for that. Yeah, so what do I recommend? I personally use Fly, and I like it a lot. It is a little lower level than some of the others. It's not quite as low level as AWS, I think, but it is still lower level than like something like Vercel or Netlify. If I wasn't using Fly, then I would be looking at Netlify. I am off-put by Vercel for various reasons. And so for that reason, it's not even just a technological thing. Also, it is like their CDN doesn't support various things that CDNs probably should support, like stale while revalidate as an example. And I feel like they are anti-competitive in nature and not always the most friendly. So I for a long time, I've put my my weight behind Netlify, really like Netlify. And Netlify, when Remix came to Netlify and said, hey, listen, like we've got some problems with the way that your CDN does caching, they fixed it. That was really nice. So yeah, I personally wouldn't use Vercel, but I know a lot of people who use it and love it. The other thing is I'm not convinced that web apps should be served by serverless architecture. I feel like serverless has its uses and web applications is not one of those. So or at least serving the HTML for a web app. So I'm a big fan of what Fly has to offer in that regard. I'm currently working on a re-architecture of my my personal app on Fly, and like it's pretty quick. I feel pretty happy with it. So my slowness on my own personal website is mostly due to my poor planning with Postgres and how I just don't know anything about that end of things. So like my website right now, because I also backed off on a couple things to simplify until I can deploy my new kind of re-architecture. And for that reason, yeah, like most pages are actually pretty, well, it's not too bad, I guess. But yeah, like sometimes it can be kind of slow, especially in multiple regions, because I actually stopped deploying to multiple regions as well, to simplify things until I can get things working on the new architecture. So the new architecture, basically I'm moving from Postgres to SQLite with a distributed SQLite using LiteFS, which is on Fly. So anyway, big fan of Fly. And so I'll just fly.io. Full disclosure, I don't make any money. Parency, is that how you spell that? Don't make any money by promoting Fly. Here's where I make all my money. So if you're worried about like, oh, he's just saying that because they're going to give him a kickback, they don't. Just believe that I want to just like answer questions properly. I don't know. I get bothered when people assume I have ulterior motives for my opinions. So anyway, how is the Epic React progress React courses? So the Epic React course, we're currently exploring how I can get that updated without me personally doing any more work than I have already. So most of the workshops are already updated with like being in TypeScript and new exercises and stuff. I did that before I joined Remix. And so it's just a matter of like re-recording videos and stuff, which I think somebody else could do. So we are kind of exploring what that would look like and how to do that so we can get Epic React updated, which I think would be valuable for a lot of people. There's not a lot of changes, but there are a couple, and I do want it to be in TypeScript. So as far as Epic Web, which is maybe what you were actually asking about, Epic Web is progressing great. It takes a lot of work to build this stuff. And today I'll be live streaming. If you go to kcdots.com/live, then you'll see my live streaming schedule. And so I'll be live streaming this afternoon and every day next week. I do occasionally miss a live streaming session due to family things that come up and whatever. Yeah, that is that. Okay, what are your opinions on PWAs? Would they be a good use case for serverless? So I don't think that PWAs, whether your app is a PWA, changes whether serverless is a good architecture for it. Certainly, serverless works as an architecture for web apps. I just feel like there are significant drawbacks to serverless architecture that impact web apps in particular. You end up having to use a bunch of services to manage like database connections and stuff like that, which is fine, I guess, if that's what you're doing, if you're okay with that. But personally, I'm not. I'd rather just have my own database connection. Thank you. Yeah, anyway, as far as PWAs, I think they're great. I could probably make a PWA out of my own website, and I have in the past. But I definitely run into situations where people can't get updates, which is not fun. So yeah, I think PWAs are awesome, and there are definitely plenty of use cases for those. But I don't think whether your app is a PWA changes my opinion on serverless for web apps. Okay, worked at PayPal. So can you tell how was the work level there? I learned React and I can build simple UI projects like a blog app and Airbnb front end, but I'm afraid that what work will I do in a job? If I do wrong, I can get fired. So what work do you do at PayPal? It's millions of lines of code. Yeah, so I mean, at PayPal, I loved it. It was an amazing place to work. And if I didn't have my like situation that I have now with full-time teacher and in control of my own future and whatever, then I would absolutely be happy to go back to PayPal. Of course, if I didn't have my future or my own control over my own thing, then I'd probably be at Shopify with Remix still. And I would prefer that, I think, over PayPal, but still loved PayPal. As far as like working in millions of lines of code, yeah, PayPal is like probably thousands of apps worked on by different teams. It's not like a big mono repo. There aren't, you're not working in a code base of millions of lines of code or anything like that. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like you're working in a bunch of apps. And Yeah, as far as like getting fired, any company that allows you to make such a huge mistake that cost them millions of dollars, that was not the engineer's fault. It was the protections that should have been in place are at fault there. And so, yeah, hopefully there are a lot of protections in place at PayPal to prevent people from making big mistakes. And so you shouldn't feel nervous about that. And as far as like being a good place, you know, to learn on the job and stuff, PayPal is really good at that too. So, yeah, let me just make sure. I mean, you can get fired for doing bad things and stuff, but if you're an honest worker trying to improve, you'll probably be just fine. As far as like the type of work you do, it's all over the place. You know, people work on design systems. Other people are working on product, mostly UI. Other people are working on mostly backend. Lots of people are working on Java stuff. Like it's all over the place. So, okay. Fly doesn't, but really should give Kent to kick me. Oh, you know what? I probably should. I'm glad that you brought that up again. I should mention that I am a constant guinea pig for them. So I was probably the first and largest node deployment on their platform, as far as I'm aware. And so I was very much a beta tester for a lot of things that they did. And so they did give me plenty of one-on-one support, and they gave me credits for running my site. So I don't get paid for them, but I don't pay them to host my site. I'm glad that you mentioned that. And yes, I have definitely funneled a ton of business their way. So I think that's maybe a fair trade, but that's not why I do it. I use them because I really like them. I also love that it's not Amazon. I like that it's their own thing, and I'm on board with what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish. So, yeah, free allowance. Yeah, they didn't have free stuff when I started up, but yeah, 3 shared CPUs, 3 gigabytes. Yeah, that's pretty legit. It's a nice free tier. So anyway, Fly for hosting the database. Yes, in fact, like the whole reason that I decided to go with Fly in the first place was I wanted distributed data and distributed node apps. That was like table stakes for me. And so I showed up to Fly's homepage and I said, oh, okay, we've got multiple regions. That's great. And then I scrolled down and, oh, Postgres clusters. Okay, cool. So now I can deploy Postgres all over the place. So that's why I chose Fly in the first place. Like, look, it's all over the place. We're missing some in Africa, but you can get that from Spain. And so, yeah, and like it's only going to get better. Dino has a similar type of thing. They've got like 30 regions all over the world, but then you have to use Dino, which I just I'm not ready to say goodbye to most of the node modules that I use. So, yeah, so I do host my database on there. And as I'm moving from Postgres to SQLite, that'll just be running within the VM. And so it's one less service I have to run. They actually also have distributed Redis cluster or read replicas. And I'm moving that over into SQLite as well. So I'm getting rid of 2 services, which would be really nice. But it's all still running within the Fly architecture. Watching from Bangladesh. Do you know Bangladesh? I have never been there, but yes, I do. Hello. It's probably like super late. What time is it? What time is it in Bangladesh? Yeah, 10 p.m. Okay. Not too late, but about time to go to bed. Have a nice night. How many lines of code was PayPal? I have no idea. Millions, easily millions and millions of lines. And like, it depends on what you include, but there's the consumer facing stuff, and then there's internal apps, and there between each one of those is going to be millions of lines. There's thousands of developers that work at PayPal writing code every day. So yeah, easily millions and millions of lines. Ever tried React Native? Nope. I mean, I did a Hello World with React Native once. That's as much as I've done. I'm just a web developer. That's what I like. How do I know that I'm ready to work as a developer? You apply, and if you get hired, then you're ready. That's it. So if I were starting my web developer career from scratch, I would start applying right away, immediately. to any position that they wouldn't laugh me out of the room for applying. And so like, I'm not going to apply if I was just getting started, I wouldn't apply for a brand or a senior role or anything, but I would certainly apply to anything that looked like a beginner. Oh, Australia, David, my goodness. What time is it in Australia? Well, let's do Sydney. Sydney? Is that how you spell Sydney? Why doesn't it say? Good grief, DuckDuckGo. You know what I want. 3-8. What? Good grief. David, go to bed. Sleep. Just kidding. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but my goodness. Why do big apps use C++ for backends? Well, one, lots of big apps have been around for a really long time, and that's like the language of the time. And it's really hard to change what language your backend is using. Two, C++ gives you a lot more control over memory. And so if you feel like you need that level of control, then you might choose C++. It's also like very efficient on the amount of resources it consumes, but there are more modern languages that give you a lot of memory control and are more ergonomic. So personally, I will not ever learn C++. I learned some C++ in school, and I will never use it again. So hey, we've got some typing going on. How would you learn web dev if you don't know how to code? So so what I'm building right now, epicweb.dev, this is going to be my answer in the future. I will say, if I were learning web dev, this is what I would use. So I'm building the thing that I wish existed when I was learning web dev. That's what Epic Web is. Unfortunately, that's not a thing yet. Like we've got a couple articles, but yeah, certainly nothing that's like, I've never coded a day in my life. Here's where I learn it. So still like getting there as far as that is concerned. So if I were learning web dev today, I don't really have specific resources to point you to because I don't really use resources. My method is brute force, and I don't personally watch courses unless I'm trying to study another teacher's teaching methods, which I do sometimes. But yeah. Okay, Miss David's question. Do you use any? Oh, it's only 210. Okay. Any tools like Prisma for database development? Yeah, I 100% am using Prisma. I freaking love it. It made the migration from SQLite to Prisma or from Postgres to SQLite way easier than it could have been. So yeah, 100% loving Prisma. It's amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic. Best stack for building a large web app, according to me, Remix, 100%. Remix.run. My site is using Remix. You can take a look at my site source code, and I'm happy with pretty much everything on there. Here, actually, that'll be github.com/KentCDodds. So you can look at my stack, what I'm using, and I love it. It's great. Who's the best developer I've met? Oh, I don't know. Best developer I've met. Scott Hanselman is great because he's really nice and thoughtful and does really good things for the world. So I just saw him in North Carolina. Just a super, super cool guy. Yeah, I don't know. I know so many developers, and all of them are amazing in their own right. Ryan Florence is brilliant. And yeah, Angie Jones, I also saw her at in Raleigh. She is just fantastic and has a really good perspective on software development in general. I don't know. I would always be, I would never be able to stop telling you about different developers and the things that I love about them. And so I should probably stop naming names because I'll miss people. But yeah, Sarah Drasner was also there. I missed her, but yeah, she is just an amazing developer as well. Marcy Sutton has just been fighting the good fight on accessibility for a really long time. Fantastic person. Yeah, I don't know. Most of my favorite developers are the ones who are nice. Okay, good stack for admin panels. I don't know. Remix is probably pretty good at that. I can't imagine anything that would be better. So yeah, use Remix. Cool. Looks like we're winding down, and I want to get to some of my live streaming for Epic Web this afternoon. Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go take a break and then go check in with the family, see how everybody's doing, and then I'll come back and we'll live stream. So you check out the live stream chat in here, and there will be a chat for the next live stream when I start it. And yeah, and then that always goes on YouTube. It's accessible forever. But yeah, you can look forward to that. Looks like David's typing, so I'll wait for just a moment for that to wrap up. And then I will be done. Looks like David finished typing and decided now. Oh, there it is. Any favorite React charting libraries? Nope. I would use Tanner Lindsley has a charting library that he built, and whatever Tanner builds is like gold. So I would look at the one he built. I think it's called React Charts. So look at that one. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later for the Epic Web live stream. Bye.